Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we're looking at Boxlight Corporation, ticker symbol BOXL.
Okay.
A company that's, making some noise in the education technology sector. They've
Yeah.
got a recent stock surge, some potential ties to AI, and a dash of market drama swirling around them.
Uh-huh.
Want to unpack this with me and see if Boxlight deserves a spot on your watch list?
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, they just launched this Clevertouch Max 2 interactive panel
Okay.
for the U.S. market.
Yeah.
Seems like they're trying to ride that wave of interactive tech we're seeing in classrooms, right?
It's a smart move if they can pull it off.
Yeah?
The U.S. market for these panels has been a bit soft lately.
Okay.
But overall, EdTech is a sector with huge growth potential.
Uh-huh.
And Boxlight already has a strong presence in Europe,
Okay.
especially in places like Germany and Belgium.
Yeah.
The question is, can they translate that success to the U.S.?
That's a good point. And then there's that 1-for-5 reverse stock split they did on February 13th.
Yeah.
Sometimes that feels like a red flag to me.
It can be. A lot of times companies do a reverse split to artificially inflate their stock price,
Right.
especially if they're in danger of being delisted from an exchange.
Uh-huh.
In Boxlight's case, it did help them meet the Nasdaq's minimum bid price requirement,
Okay.
but it also pushed their stock to a 52-week high of $2.24. So it's got investors buzzing.
Okay, so short-term gain,
Yeah.
but maybe a sign of deeper issues.
Right.
That's what makes me nervous with reverse splits.
Exactly. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. We need to see if they can back up that price jump with actual performance.
Right. Speaking of performance, they also announced a $2.8 million private placement on February 19th, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't just simple stock, was it?
Nope. This placement was a mix of common stock, pre-funded warrants, and common warrants.
Okay.
That level of financial maneuvering always makes me dig a little deeper into the company's financials.
I hear you on that. So let's dig. What did their preliminary results for 2024 look like? I know they came out recently.
Well, the picture is a little mixed. Their revenue is actually down compared to 2023.
Really?
Which is a concern,
Yeah.
particularly since they're blaming weak demand in the U.S. for their interactive panels.
Okay.
But they also managed to improve their operating loss from last year, and their current ratio is sitting pretty at 2.1.
So they're losing less money but making less overall.
Yeah.
That's a tough spot to be in.
It is. They need to figure out that revenue situation if they want to become a real player.
Yeah.
But the good news is, with that current ratio, they at least have some breathing room to cover their short-term debts.
Okay, so that's the company-specific stuff, but we also can't ignore the market right now, can we?
No.
The Dow dropped over 450 points on February 20th.
Right.
All because of these inflation worries and trade tensions. That's got to affect a smaller company like Boxlight.
You're absolutely right. When the overall market gets jittery,
Yeah.
especially over things like inflation and potential trade wars,
Yeah.
even solid stocks can take a hit. Investors get spooked,
Yeah.
and they start selling, pulling out of everything.
So where does that leave Boxlight? Are they just going to get swept up in this market turmoil?
It's certainly a possibility, but they're making moves that could set them apart.
Okay.
You mentioned their AI potential earlier, and
Yeah.
I think that's where things get interesting. Remember when Microsoft poured $80 billion into AI data centers earlier this year?
Oh, yeah. Everyone was talking about that.
Well, it's not just about self-driving cars and robots.
Right.
Microsoft's investment tells us that AI is about to become a major force across all sectors,
Uh-huh.
and education is ripe for disruption.
I can see that personalized learning, AI tutors, even things like automated grading systems.
Exactly. And while we're not saying Boxlight is going to be the next Microsoft,
Right.
they are starting to position themselves in this AI-powered edtech space.
Okay.
They even recently filed a patent for an AI-powered teaching assistant. That could be a game changer if they can get it right.
Okay, now that's interesting. A patent, that suggests they're serious about that. So we've got product launches,
Yeah.
some interesting financial moves, market craziness, and now AI in the mix.
Uh-huh.
How do we make sense of all of this from an investment perspective? What's Boxlight stock doing?
All right, let's dive into the charts. We had that post-split surge,
Okay.
which took the stock all the way up to $2.24. Since then, it's pulled back a bit
Okay.
and is now consolidating around $1.92 to $2.
Consolidating. So not crashing back down to earth, but not taking off either.
Exactly. It's like the market is taking a breather,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what to make of Boxlight. This consolidation could be a healthy sign.
Okay.
It allows the price to stabilize before making its next move, which could be up or down. We need to see what happens next.
Okay, I'm following you. So what are the signals telling us right now? What should we be watching for?
Well, the volume is one thing. We saw a big jump in trading volume on those days with big price increases,
Uh-huh.
particularly around the reverse split. And when it hit that 52-week high, that tells me there's a lot of interest in this stock.
So people are buying into the story, at least for now. But what about the technical indicators? I always hear about these moving averages. What are
Yeah.
they telling us about Boxlight?
Moving averages help us smooth out those daily price fluctuations and spot trends.
Okay.
For Boxlight, the 10-day simple moving average, or SMA,
Uh-huh.
is currently sitting below the current price that's generally considered a bullish signal.
Bullish. But what about the longer-term trend?
Well, the 50-day SMA was crossed decisively during that February rally, which is another bullish sign. However, the 200-day SMA, which gives us a longer-term view, is still above the current price.
Okay.
That suggests the overall long-term trend might not have completely reversed yet.
Interesting. So short-term good, long-term not so sure. What about the Relative Strength Index, or RSI? What's that telling us?
The RSI measures how quickly and how much stock's price has moved recently.
Okay.
It helps us see if a stock is overbought or oversold. In Boxlight's case, after hitting that $2.24 high, the RSI probably shot above 70,
Okay.
which is considered overbought territory.
So things were getting a little too hot.
Exactly, and that's why we saw that pullback. But now the RSI has cooled off a bit and is sitting in a more neutral range, somewhere between 50 and 60.
Okay.
That suggests the stock might have room to run.
Okay, so the RSI is looking good. What about support and resistance levels?
Great question. Support for Boxlight seems to be around $1.70 to $1.80.
Okay.
That lines up with the post-split consolidation zone and maybe even the 10-day SMA, so that's a key level to watch. If the stock drops below that, it could be a sign of further downside.
So $1.70 is our line in the sand.
You could say that on the flip side, resistance is sitting up at $2.24, which was that recent high, and then again at $2.88. Those are the price points where the stock might hit some selling pressure.
Uh-huh.
If it can break through those levels, that would be a very bullish signal.
Got it. Break out above resistance, good. Drop below support, bad. Is there anything else we should be looking at on the charts?
Well, there's been some talk about a cup and handle formation forming. It's a bullish chart pattern.
Okay.
And if it plays out, it could mean a significant price increase for Boxlight.
Cup and handle, huh? What makes you think that's forming?
We've seen that rounded bottom forming, which is the cup part of the pattern, and now the stock is making lower highs, which is the handle. But there's a catch. Boxlight historically has pretty low liquidity.
Low liquidity. What does that mean for this pattern and for the stock in general?
It means the stock isn't traded as frequently as others. This can make it more volatile.
Right.
And can also make those chart patterns less reliable. So while that cup and handle is interesting, we need to be cautious about reading too much into it.
Okay, so consider with a grain of salt, low liquidity, potential for volatility.
Uh-huh.
Those are definitely things for investors to keep in mind. But let's zoom out for a second. We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
New products, financial maneuvers, market ups and downs, and even this AI angle.
Right.
What does it all mean for someone who's actually thinking about investing in Boxlight? Is it a buy, a sell, or a wait and see?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. Based on everything we've discussed, there are a few potential investment strategies you could consider.
Okay.
But each comes with its own risks and rewards.
All right, let's hear them. Give us the rundown. What are the options?
First, you could look at it as a short-term trade opportunity. If BOXL breaks above that $2.24 resistance level with strong volume,
Yeah.
it could signal a further move upward, maybe even up to $2.88 or higher.
So buy and hope for a quick surge and then get out. Kind of like catching a wave and riding it as long as you can.
Exactly. It's a high-risk, high-reward kind of play. You could see some nice gains, maybe 20% to 50%.
Wow.
But remember that low liquidity we talked about can also lead to sharp drops.
Right.
So you need to be prepared for that. A stop-loss order below $1.70 would be crucial
Okay.
to protect yourself from big losses.
Got it. So not for the faint of heart, definitely requires a stomach for risk. What's the second option?
The second approach is more of a swing play.
Okay.
This involves holding the stock within that current consolidation zone between $1.92 and $2.
So ride the wave, but maybe not expect it to turn into a tsunami.
Precisely. You'd set a stop-loss order below $1.70 to protect your downside.
Okay.
But your target would be that $2.88 resistance level. This strategy offers a balance between potential upside and downside protection.
Okay. A bit more balance, maybe for someone who doesn't want to be glued to their trading screen every minute. What about the long-term investor?
Yeah.
Is there a play for them with Boxlight?
There could be, but this is where conviction comes in. You'd be accumulating shares on dips buying when the price drops to that $1.50 to $1.70 range.
Okay.
This is a bet on the long-term potential of edtech, especially as AI becomes more integrated into the sector.
Yeah.
If Boxlight can successfully capitalize on those trends, especially with their European market already going strong,
Right.
there could be significant upside down the road.
But this is definitely a longer game, right? And it's not without its risks.
Absolutely. Remember, the U.S. market for interactive panels is still struggling,
Right.
and there are always broader economic factors that could impact Boxlight's performance. So this is a speculative play, no doubt. It requires patience and a belief that Boxlight can execute on their vision.
So we've got three potential plays: the short-term trade for the risk takers, the swing play for those who like a bit more balance, and the long-term hold for those who believe in the company's future.
Exactly. It all comes down to your personal investment goals, your risk tolerance, and your own research. Don't just take our word for it. Dig into Boxlight's financials, read industry reports, understand the competitive landscape, and then decide if it's a fit for you.
Solid advice. Knowledge is power, especially in the world of investing. And speaking of knowledge, what about this AI angle? You mentioned that patent filing. That really caught my attention. Is Boxlight truly positioned to be a leader in this AI-powered edtech space?
It's still early days, but the potential is there. That patent for an AI-powered teaching assistant suggests they're serious about innovating. And if you look at the broader trends, AI is only going to become more integrated into education. Think about it: personalized learning plans tailored to each student's needs, AI tutors that can provide 24/7 support, even automated grading systems that can free up teachers' time.
That's pretty incredible when you think about it. But what are the challenges they might face? I mean, AI is still a relatively new technology,
Yeah.
and applying it to education is a big undertaking.
You're right, it's not going to be easy. One challenge is data privacy. Using AI in education requires collecting a lot of data about students,
Right.
and there are legitimate concerns about how that data is used, and protected Boxlight will need to address those concerns head on.
That's a good point. What else?
Another challenge is teacher buy-in. Teachers are essential to the success of any educational technology.
Yeah.
And AI is no exception. Boxlight will need to convince teachers that their AI tools are valuable and easy to use. They can't just throw technology at the problem and expect it to work.
It's about integration, not just destruction. They need to work with educators, not against them.
Absolutely. And then there's the question of equity. AI has the potential to exacerbate existing inequalities in education if it's not developed and deployed thoughtfully. Boxlight needs to ensure their AI tools are accessible to all students regardless of their background or learning differences.
So a lot of potential, but also a lot of responsibility. This AI integration piece is really intriguing,
Yeah.
but it's clear that there's a lot more to the story than just the technology itself.
Exactly, and it's a story that's still unfolding. We'll need to watch closely to see how Boxlight navigates these challenges and whether they can truly capitalize on the AI opportunity in edtech.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about. Before I make any decisions, what are the three most critical questions I should be asking myself about Boxlight?
That's a great way to frame it. Here are three questions to ponder. First, do you believe in the long-term potential of the edtech market, especially as AI becomes more integrated? Second, do you think Boxlight has the leadership, the technology, and the strategy to be a major player in this space? And third, are you comfortable with the risks involved, particularly the low liquidity and the potential for market volatility?
Those are some excellent questions. It sounds like we've reached the point in our Investing Talk podcast where we turn it over to you, our listeners. We've given you a breakdown of Boxlight Corporation, ticker symbol BOXL,
Right.
their recent moves and the potential risks and rewards involved in investing in this edtech company.
Yeah.
But now it's your turn to do your due diligence.
That's right. Think about those three questions we just laid out.
Yeah.
Do your research, dig into Boxlight's financials, understand their competitive landscape, and then decide if this is an investment that aligns with your goal and your risk tolerance.
Investing is a personal journey,
It is.
and what works for one person may not work for another.
Right.
But the most important thing is to be informed and to make decisions that are right for you.
Absolutely. And remember, even if Boxlight isn't the right fit for you,
Yeah,
this exercise has hopefully given you some valuable insights
I think so.
into the edtech sector.
Uh-huh.
The growing influence of AI and the importance of careful analysis when making investment decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to wrap up our look into Boxlight Corporation,
Okay.
let's quickly recap the key takeaways.
Boxlight is an edtech company with a mix of positive and negative signals. Revenue is down, but they've improved their operating loss. They executed a reverse stock split and secured additional funding,
Yeah,
which has led to some recent stock price momentum.
right. And they're trying to position themselves in the AI-powered edtech space, which has huge potential.
It does.
But they also face challenges like a weak U.S. market for the interactive panels and the broader economic uncertainties we're all dealing with.
Exactly. It's a classic case of risk versus reward. The potential is there, but so are the challenges. It's up to each investor to weigh those factors and decide if Boxlight is worth the gamble.
So the question is, what do you think about the intersection of EdTech and AI?
Yeah,
Is Boxlight a company you'd consider adding to your portfolio?
right.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Leave us a comment below and tell us what you think. And if you found this episode of Investing Talk Podcast helpful, be sure to subscribe, share it with your friends, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of investing.
Until next time, happy investing.